You're listening to Your SuperPowered Mind on the Superpower Up podcast, the show that investigates the innate power within your brain to create lasting change.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Your SuperPowered Mind. I'm your host, Kristin Maxwell, and in our show, we explore the process of transformation and give you tools and strategies you can use to transform your own life. Today, we're going to be talking to Gail Kreitzer about quieting the mind, a key aspect of any personal growth plan. And Gail is the founder of Little Big Things and the creator of dashboarding. Using the dashboarding organizational process, Gail works with schools, businesses, and individuals to declutter their minds so they can stay focused on what is most important to them. Gail, welcome to Your SuperPowered Mind.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
My first question is always, what superpower did you uncover as a result of mastering your mind?
Without a doubt, the superpower that I have honed is really helping people reconnect with themselves again. Because we all live in such a fast-paced world. We have so much going on, and we are, in many cases, just buried underneath a lot of clutter, emotional, physical, mental clutter, that we lose that very important connection with ourselves. So I think that's really my superpower is I help people reconnect with themselves, and I really am passionate about helping people live in the present.
That is a beautiful goal. And so how do you do that? How do you help people to get so that they're not buried under all of that clutter?
Okay, so I will share my true story. I'm a former HR professional, and several years ago when my teenage daughters were little, I was doing it all, working really hard, firing on all cylinders, and I was just out of my mind busy. I was highly reactive. I was yelling. I was always, I was getting everything done, but I was just super, super stressed. And one day I was outside screaming at my kids to get in the car. And as I was screaming at them, the UPS man rounded the corner to drop off a package in the driveway. And I'll never forget, he overheard everything that I was saying to my kids. And I was mortified. I was so embarrassed. He didn't even flinch because I'm sure he's seen it all, right? So he was just like, have a great day, Gail, dropped the package and left. And it was really the first time, Kristin, that I heard myself. And I'll never forget, I was like, wow, when did I become this person? Okay? Mm-hmm. And that's what sparked my journey into trying to figure out, how to feel less overwhelmed. And what I ended up doing is, I looked around me and I was like, everybody's overwhelmed. It's not just me. It's men, it's children, it's working, non-working. It doesn't matter. We live in a fast-paced world. It's speeding up and there's just tons of things coming at us. So I did all sorts of the typical things to try to be less overwhelmed. I focused on time management. I focused on, cleaning my house and getting organized at my desk. And none of that really helped. A lot of these tools that we had been using. So in an effort to really figure it out myself, I started thinking, I'm like, where does the overwhelm begin? It really begins in the mind. And I thought about it. I'm like, I have so many thoughts, short-term tasks, long-term tasks, no-term tasks, thoughts, ideas, and worries that I'm holding on to in my brain because I don't know where else to put it, right? I mean, I think everyone can relate to that. You might have certain organizational apps or notebooks or calendars, but invariably you're left with some things that you just don't know where to put them. So that's what sparked my interest in, like I said, figuring it out. And I grabbed some simple home office supplies, and quite unexpectedly, a whole new approach to mental organization began to unfold. I began to feel so much better so fast that honestly, I knew I had to share share my secret with others, and I knew I had found my purpose. And today it's called dashboarding. And it's really a collection of habits that help people to declutter their mind and live in the present.
Wow, that's an incredible story. I love how you were looking at the idea of where overwhelm begins, and and recognizing that you had become someone that you didn't want to be.
Right.
Right. So it's funny. So you're saying that they're habits. So you're helping people to develop new habits? Is that
right? And I have to also just make a quick footnote here. The interesting thing about it too is that I was already organized. Okay. It wasn't like I was not organized. I was very organized, with calendars and planners and notebooks, but there was something missing. Okay. And that's what I started to focus on. What was missing? And what was missing was really a process that would enable me to distill all the stuff in my brain. You think about a closet, right? A cluttered closet. Mm-hmm. Everybody can relate to that. And everybody knows that when you've had enough with a messy closet, there pretty much are some universal steps we take to deal with it. And we usually pull everything out all at once for really good reasons. That's so we can compare and contrast, and we can start making decisions and choices that lead us to a much more organized, functional space, right?
Right.
So dashboarding is really the same concept, but it's all about creating space in your mind, not for your clothes, but really so your best and most important thoughts have room to unfold and stretch. And really, very overarching, very top line is the collection of habits that make up dashboarding are focused on really 3 different phases. The first phase is all about creating space in your mind. Okay, that's like decluttering your mind. The second phase is all about cultivating self-awareness. And that's really, really critical because self-awareness helps us make better decisions and choices, right?
Yes.
And problem solve. And then the last phase of dashboarding is really taking mindful action and taking really the distilled contents of our brain, of our mind, and taking action so we really stay connected to our priorities. So dashboarding is very visual. It's very list oriented. And I can certainly go into more detail, but ultimately a lot of the habits people are very familiar with. And in many ways, they're like, oh, I do that, or I partially do that. But dashboarding lassos all of those habits and puts it in a very pragmatic framework that helps you on a day-to-day basis maintain your focus on, a plan for the day that really connects you to your priorities and goals that are informed by the mental dashboards that you create during the process.
Wow. Okay. Yes, I'm very curious to learn a little bit more about what you're meaning about each of those steps, what's involved in them. We do need to go to a quick break. So could you tell people a little bit more about where they can learn more about dashboarding and be able to find you?
Sure. They can visit my website, which is called dashboardingminds.com. And that information information on dashboarding. I also have invented some products to help people implement dashboarding, which I'd love to tell you about after the break, because I really think it'll help explain what dashboarding is all about.
Oh, perfect. Great. So everyone, we have been talking to Gail Kreitzer. When we come back, we are going to go a bit deeper into how you can quiet your own mind as part of your personal growth plan. So hang on.
Are you here to change the world? Do you talk about things like vibration, frequency, awakening, and consciousness? Are you pretty sure you have superpowers? The Superpower Net is unlike normal coaching programs and conscious communities. We provide training, intuitive guidance, peer-to-peer learning, intensive one-on-one coaching, and a high vibrational network of people just like you. When you join the net, you get 24/7 access to a collaborative group of people who support you as you master your personal power and unlock your superpowers. If you're ready to use your superpowers to change the world, then join the Superpower Net today. Visit superpowerexperts.com/the-net to learn more.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Your SuperPowered Mind, and we are talking to Gail Kreitzer. So let me let's talk about that first step. You say you're creating space, and I know what you're talking about. Well, I know the idea, and I have this feeling of a head that's just filled with thoughts that are swirling and competing for attention, and sometimes the less pleasant ones are dominating. How does dashboarding go about creating space?
All right. So I'm going to pivot to tell you about my invention, because I really think that'll help answer the question.
Okay.
So my whole journey began actually with my tool that I inadvertently created. So what I did is I took a notebook and I started with one sticky note where I housed a list of to-dos. Mm-hmm. And then over time, I added another sticky note next to it and housed another list in there, and then another sticky note. And over time, I created these, what I call dashboards of sticky notes, which would house all different types of lists and organize them together depending on the different areas of my life and mind. So for example, my invention, which is called my Dashboard Planner, is a tool that leverages the power and simplicity of sticky notes. And it allows you to dashboard by using sticky notes to unpack your head of all the tasks, thoughts, worries, ideas, where you ultimately get to create lists, like I said, and it makes your brain very visible, very accessible, and very centralized. So this tool allows you to create a dashboard that basically can house all your thoughts related to your family, to your job, all the different parts of your job, all the different parts of your personal life. I even help people create an empowerment dashboard where they create different lists related to their mantras, their affirmations, their bucket lists, their dreams, their goals. And really what I discovered is that what is incredible about the dashboards is it's almost a form of mindfulness, because you are stepping out of your own brain and you have the opportunity to assess the contents of your mind. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And so what I'm wondering, is it something where you're organized? Do you give like specific questions? Is it like, yes. What are your worries?
Yes.
Or
yes.
Okay.
So I teach people how to create all different types of templates. So I might say to people, look, make sure you unpack your feelings. Think about those self-limiting thoughts that oftentimes just pop into our brain without us even realizing it as we're driving around. And for me, years ago, I had some really powerful thoughts like, I am the worst mom. My husband isn't hearing me. I'm exhausted. And when I unpacked those and saw those, I was like, wow, I don't want to feel this way. And it really propelled me to take a lot of action. And, I go into that in greater detail. But ultimately, not only do I help people, unpack different lists according to different areas of their life, but then I teach people to review their dashboards and ask self-reflecting questions like, Do I have to do it all? What stresses me out? What makes me feel good? What do I need more time for? What do I want more time for? What is missing? What is on fire in my life? And then ultimately I work with my clients to teach them how to create one master daily plan. So one list, if you will, that's connected to their priorities, which is also informed by that self-reflecting kind of phase of dashboarding.
Right. Wow. This is fascinating because it sounds like what you've done is come with a really specific process to take people through, right, getting to know each other. Because one of the things I do with my own clients is we keep logs of our thoughts, because yes, we have so many beliefs and thoughts that we live by and we don't even know we're thinking them, right? Like you were saying, those self-limiting beliefs about ourselves or about what the world means or
yes. And that's so funny that you should mention that, because what I tell people a lot is it's not just tasks, to-dos that hold us back. It's emotional baggage, right? And I know you're nodding your head going, absolutely.
Exactly.
So dashboarding addresses both of those areas. And really what's so cool about the process is that almost immediately as people unpack their head and create the different dashboards so they can empty their mind completely, they find incredible relief and release. They've taken the weight of their mind and they've now put it somewhere very centralized, right? Mm-hmm. And then, the whole process, what invariably happens too is somebody will look at their dashboards and they'll literally think to themselves, I can't keep doing it all. And I'm like, exactly. You already knew that, but now you can see it with your mind. And it really starts to propel people to make powerful choices. And because a huge part of my self-reflecting questions is, how do I create more space? What can I say no to, save for later, delegate, right?
Right.
Etc. So as you can tell, I'm pretty passionate.
You are. and I can see,
yep.
I can see how this would be so effective, because this is a process that if you really want to change how you show up in the world and how you feel about what is happening to you,
yes,
and also change what's actually going on, you need to get this awareness of everything that's in your head. And this,
yes. It is. And it's amazing because, every time I work with schools, believe it or not, I go into schools and share dashboarding with the administrators, the teachers, the guidance counselors. Their school mindfulness is a big topic in school nowadays. And administrators are starting to realize that their own staff members need an oxygen mask,
Right.
And even with working with individual clients, I never cease to be amazed. And I know you get this, is that when somebody comes to me, they want to be more organized, but when I start, really digging, it's not about organizing. It's not necessarily about organization. They want to save their marriage, or they want to get healthy, or they want to be present with their kids. You know what I mean? That's the real magic, is when you start to really uncover with people why they want to live in the present. What is it that's being compromised because they are not here now?
Right. And there's a way in which they know that they're not living to their true potential or in alignment with what is most important to them, but don't know how to even go about figuring out.
Of course. Because I always say to my clients, the habits that we've learned, everybody learns how to be organized differently, right? It's not like we all sat down in school and they said, all right, this is how you do it. We all kind of develop our own system. And over the years, as you know, it's really focused on productivity and efficiency. And I think that's what's gotten us into this mess, is that there is no way to win. If that's what your system is, all about being efficient, I have observed that what happens is you just end up working harder faster and longer to try to keep up. So you have to plug into some sort of process and tool that helps you get to less.
Right. So how do the people then, because I know with so many of my clients, they feel as if they can't say no, like that there's nobody else who can do it. So is there a step in the process that walks them through that?
Oh, absolutely. And that's really the phase 2 where the rubber meets the road. And that's the part where you are assessing the contents of your mind. And dashboarding works in conjunction with your calendar. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so, ultimately one of the biggest things that I work with my clients on is saying, you can see that it's too much. Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's focus on how we create more space, and let's review all the different ways that you could start doing that today. And that's how, and then we have more time to really dig into the more complicated problems, right? Because life is not just a simple checklist. Sometimes there's something in someone's life that's on fire, and I will tell you the why of my business. And this will be a good example. So sure, as this was beginning to unfold and I started to feel so much more in control of my business, of my life, I realized, hey, I have to share this with other people. But it wasn't until my eldest daughter, who's in 10th grade, she was in 4th grade at the time, developed this very bizarre, for a lack of a better word, mysterious health condition that I really understood the power of dashboarding. So I'll explain. So she came down with this really mysterious health condition that brought our whole family to its knees. It was a very painful time. We did not know what was going on with her. All the doctors were like, she's fine. She's just difficult. And I kept thinking to myself, okay, she's not just difficult. And I remember one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to figure out what's going on with her. And I took my tool, my dashboard planner with sticky notes, and I created a dashboard that had different sticky notes that represented different receptacles of all the moving parts of figuring out what was going on with her. Okay? Doctors, therapies, research, books I needed to read, support groups, nutrition. Okay? So as I was navigating this, I had everything laid out in front of me. Okay? And after about 1.5 years, I figured out what was going on with her. Okay?
Wow.
And I remember it was so validating and incredible. I was like, I knew it. And I figured out, and even though, there's really no cure for what she has, it is just knowing is so valuable. And I tell people that, now I don't have, a big, huge dashboard dedicated to her health. I have one sticky note now because it's under control. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the piece that I work with people. But I had to, as I was diving into this piece, I had to create space for it. And that's what I work with my clients on. Like, all right, if you need to create space, and there really are many ways you can do that in your life if you start focusing on that. Like, I'm sure, you can delegate things. You can say, no, thank you. I would joke with people, like, all you have to do if somebody says, hey, would you be willing to blah, 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 you could say, I'd love to, but have you seen my dashboards? Like, make a joke out of it. Like, love to help you, but I got enough going on. Right. And so you really start to see that honestly on your own, and it builds your own confidence. So you actually are feeling much more equipped to say to somebody, no, thank you. I don't have the bandwidth. Whereas before, you didn't have all this information at your fingertips, and maybe you felt guilty and you found yourself saying yes. Now you're much more connected to yourself because dashboarding helps you do that.
Right. And then be able to say no without feeling guilty, with, just being very clear that that's the right decision. This is a little bit of a non sequitur, but I went through a period where, I have 3 daughters too, where so busy, where I would say, you know what, I can't take on anything else unless I want to let you down. Like I know at this point, unless my goal is to not meet your deadlines, I can't do it. So
right.
Yes.
And you have to kind of cultivate that confidence, right? And that connection to yourself to be able to, look and confidently say, can't do it. And I'm also really big into semantics, right? It's not just what you say, it's how you say. So I work a lot with my clients on that. When we start to navigate some of the trickier things, it's not just a quick to do. Right. It could be a difficult conversation with a spouse or a boss or a coworker. We talk about unpacking that. And I've seen incredible movement and transformations with that.
Yes, in terms of the words they're using, the one that when I'm working with people to really help them, change their habits. One of the things that's so funny is, for example, if they're trying to eat more healthily and, the dialogue in their head is, I can't eat this and I can't do that. And, reminding them, well, no, you actually can. You chose this. Mm-hmm. It's you choosing this.
Exactly.
And that's it's words, but it's such a different meaning. So I love how you're presenting a way to get all of those thoughts and those beliefs out so you can look at them at once and see the patterns.
Yes. And that is why, I really have found my purpose, because it transformed my life on every level with my husband, with my children, with myself. And I know I've now been, teaching dashboard for a little over 4 years. And what I find over and over again is people don't have any difficulty identifying their priorities. What is so much more difficult is staying connected to them. And that's what dashboarding is all about, is helping you clear away the clutter and shrinking your priorities so they become, goals and tangible and really lead you to where you want to go and where you're headed. So.
Wow. Yes, that's amazing. So now with your product,
yes,
is it something that you buy, and does it come with all the questions and all the guidance? Because I know it sounds like you work with people, but is this something people can do on their own?
Yeah, so I try really hard to create a bunch of options for people, right? So I do work with groups, like I said, at schools and businesses, but I also work with individuals, and I have people that come up to me and they go, I need more, I want more. And so what I do is I have 2 products on my website. So 2 different versions of my dashboard planner, which you can purchase. Mm-hmm. And with your purchase, you get, an overview of the 9 habits that make up dashboarding. What's also on my website within my shop page is a self-study guide. I call it the My Navigation Guide. It's an e-manual, and it's available for purchase, and it walks you through every step of dashboarding. It has, example photos, lots of instructions and video tutorial links, right? And then the other piece is I do private coaching for people that want a much more individualized, personalized, and we can go much deeper. Dashboarding ends up being the foundation for a lot of things, like time management and lots of things. So that's what I offer my clients. So you can come check out my products, my self-study guide, and you can, certainly inquire about the different coaching options that I offer. And you can even invite me to your school or your organization. My passion is really presenting this to groups. And that's a passion of mine.
Wow. That is great. I can feel your passion. And as somebody, who works with people to help them to quiet their mind and to feel and know that they're really living their best life, what it is that is best for them, I can see how this is such a great technique.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I joked, I never I never planned on being an expert in what I call mental empowerization. I really hoped to be a rock star, but that didn't really work out.
I like that. Mental empowerization, and a maker-upper of words too. So there we go.
Yeah. So
great. So remind people again where they can find the dashboard products.
Sure. They can just visit my website at dashboardingminds.com. I'm also on Facebook, but really Facebook is going to direct you to my website. And that's just the best way to reach me is through my website. Lots of information on there.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your processes with this. It sounds like a really interesting and valuable way of organizing the mind.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm really pragmatic. At the end of the day, I'm action oriented, and I found that oftentimes you go to hear speakers or you go see something and you're inspired, but then like 2 weeks later it has waned, and so I really focused on how do I help people implement and take action. And for me, it started and ended honestly with sticky notes, not an app. And I'm having a great time, and really great to be on your podcast. So thank you.
You're welcome. And listeners, all of you, thank you for being here. Between now and next time, go out and remember that you do hold the power to change and transform your world.
Are you ready to discover your superpowers? Go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the superpower quiz today.